What's up, everybody? It's video number 2. We're doing a Q&A today because I was on the road for 4 months and I got a lot of questions. If you haven't yet, follow the Instagram. That's where I post almost all my content, purposefully unemployed. Oh boy, y'all like them Christmas tree bed sheets or what? I got the most goated mama in the game. When I was away, this is my childhood room. I'm going to be leaving it, as you can tell. I'm packing for Atlanta. I'm moving. I'm starting a new job. I'm moving from Massachusetts. But my goated mother changed my bed sheets when I was away. How could I ever take the Christmas trees off the bed when mama put them on? Come on now. Without further ado, let's get into the video. What better video than a Q&A? I just got back, 4 months on the road, 5 continents, 26 countries, and I got a lot of questions. So I figured I'd open it up to you guys to ask me. I got a list here of like 20 questions, and I've got my engineering periodic, I don't even know what I have. So some electrical engineering formulas on the back here. So yeah, it's been a while since I had to write on some paper, but yeah, let's hop into it. First of all, I just want to thank you guys. Anyone that's tuned into the channel now is, you've probably found this from Instagram, and it's been a journey, really. 4 months, ups, downs, everything in between, to be here, to feel so inspired, to keep making content for you guys, to find something that I truly love to do. It's a blessing. But without further ado, let's hop into it. All right, first question is, what's my favorite spot in the US? And I have a couple. So I've done a few big road trips cross country. I live in Massachusetts, and I took a road trip with my best friends from high school all the way to the Grand Canyon. We did like all of Utah, Colorado, everything in between. And then we did another road trip up north. So like the Pacific Northwest, Montana, Wyoming. And through all that, I think the Grand Tetons are like my safe place. I don't know why. I love the Tetons, the look of the mountains. There's a great campground out there that I love going back to. If you love nature, if you love camping, you got to get to Wyoming and do the Tetons. I'm going to do sneaky underrated, the Badlands in South Dakota. Nobody talks about them. So good. Some of the best sunrises, sunsets in the country. And then the Deep South. I spent a lot of time in South Carolina in college, and I love the Deep South. I'm going to, I guess South Carolina is not the Deep South, but I'm moving to Atlanta. My heart is kind of always, every time I'd go down to South Carolina, the people, the food, the way of life is just a little bit slower. I love the South. Yeah. What would I do differently on my trip? To be honest, I don't think anything. I don't think that I would do anything differently. There was a lot of crazy things that happened on this trip. I made mistakes, but I truly am a believer in the fact that everything you do, it teaches you a lesson. Every mistake you make, every time you pick yourself back up, you learn something. And without those lessons, you wouldn't be the person that you are. So to be honest, I wouldn't change anything. If I could change something externally, I wish that the problems in the Middle East weren't happening, or else I probably would have gone to Central Asia. I probably would have stopped in Uzbekistan. That would have saved me a lot of headaches. But then again, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did in Europe. So honestly, I wouldn't have changed a thing. Highlight and low light from South America. So I'm going to, again, I mentioned this in my tier list, but I'm making a video on my nightmare travel stories. So I'm not going to talk about when I got robbed in Rio. I do think the low light from South America was getting food poisoning in Ecuador. I was eating, that day I ate quail eggs. I ate like a bunch of like dairy, I don't even know, like sour cream, potato pancakes off the street, and like ice cream with cheese on it. And then I was surprised that I was puking my brains out at 11 p.m. And I felt so bad because I was on a top bunk. So I pulled all my bedding off and slept in the lobby. Keep in mind, I'm at like 3,500 meters up in the Andes, and the windows were open, so the wind is howling, and it's like 30 degrees in the lobby. That was a horrible night. Highlight was probably hanging out with my family friends in Ecuador. My stepmom's best friend, her maid of honor, his husband's family, it's quite the connection, right? Lives in Cuenca, and they were the most hospitable people. They're like a second family to me. I had the time of my life in Cuenca, hanging with the family, going to the local food spots, dancing with the family at like a Saturday cookout over some good traditional Ecuadorian food, playing some yard games, having some laughs. Just a wonderful time. They're the best. And then shout out to my people in Rio. Stayed in an awesome hostel in Santa Teresa there. Was amazing. Rio, I got to go back. I was there pre-carnival. I got to go back for actual carnival. It was so good. I thought this was an interesting one. What are South Africans like? This is the only question even like remotely like this that I got. I think South Africans are awesome. I met a kid, shout out Dylan if you're watching this video, in Cape Town. And he's South African himself. And I think I can say this for a lot. I can say this for a lot of Europeans. There's a kid that comes to mind that I'll get to, and he's getting a fat shout out in a little bit. But I feel like outside of the States, kids mature so much quicker. I don't know if it's because they are allowed to drink at a younger age or whatever it is. They just mature quicker. Dylan, I think, was 18 or 19. I'm 23. I was 22 at the time, but doesn't really matter. We had an amazing time. He's like as old as my younger brothers, and it felt like I was hanging out with one of my boys. Definitely adventurous. They remind me of the Aussies a bit in that sense that they're like thrill seeking, super fun, super friendly. South Africans, I love South Africans. They're great. Total cost of the trip. So I spent somewhere, I'll be honest, I didn't fully add up everything, but all in, it was between like 10.5 and 12.5 grand. Call 11 and 13 grand. My trip I actually budgeted pretty well, I will admit. I think I started balling a little bit in Europe when I was like, my buddies from college are here. I'm going to ball a little bit. But overall, for a 4-month trip where I hit 26 countries, the amount of flights I took, if you are working with like 5 grand, you could go do Southeast Asia, book in advance, book your flight well in advance, find a good deal, go to cheap regions, take local transport. Flights took up probably over 50%, I would guess, between probably 50 and 60% of my entire budget. What is the best way to meet people? So the obvious answer here is going to be hostels. Some of the best friends that I made on the road were in hostels. I stayed in some amazing hostels all throughout the trip. Bars, again, pretty easy. But my personal favorite is just saying hello and being extroverted. One of my main goals on this trip, I'm already a very extroverted person, but I wrote this in my notes before I went, and it was to be extroverted, to be more extroverted than I've ever been. And I'm already someone who will probably go up to you and talk your ear off for 20 minutes if you can't tell by now. But I think it suited me well. I made some amazing friends, some amazing memories, some amazing laughs. There's something about traveling, and I'm going to get into this when I talk about advice, but I'll talk about it now. Why not? When you're traveling, you have the opportunity to be authentically yourself, because at the end of the day, if you don't jive well with a group, you never have to see them again. So there's nothing holding you back from being completely and authentically yourself. So I truly, truly recommend that is exactly what you do. I'm a very extroverted person. I'm very outspoken. I'm loud. I'm that loud American in the hostel. I have a very loud personality, a loud laugh. I'm a lot. But when I'm on the road, I'm myself. If you don't like it, that's okay. We don't have to hang out. But if you do, awesome. I just made a friend, all from being myself, and those are the best kind of friends you can make. All right, next, best moment. That is so hard. There are unlimited best moments, but I always say the people I met, to be honest with you. I already shouted out the Rio crew. We had a great time. Shout out to Eli and Cody. Eli's the guy I rode motorcycles with through Africa. He's awesome. Cody's also awesome. Those two guys, we had an amazing, amazing time. Talk about in a time of needing a spirit boost, like, wow, that was one of the highlights of the entire trip, going from Namibia through Botswana, through Zambia, Zimbabwe, up to Victoria Falls. shout out you guys. That was one of the times of my life. And then shout out the guys I met in Bali, my Perth boys. Again, unforgettable week. It's like just the people you meet on the road. And I'm kind of attesting to the things I've already said. The people you meet on the road, like, you make friends for a long, long time. Life, you truly do. Friends on the road that you meet traveling, usually they share that same sentiment within themselves, and they're basically lifelong friends. Even, it's like the see you in 5 rule. See you in 5 minutes, see you in 5 months, 5 years, 5 decades. You can still pick up a conversation and have a great time. Europe with my buddies was so much fun from college. Japan with my father was amazing. We had such a good time together. That was my dad's first time leaving the country since he was in Germany back in the 90s. Dad, I know you're not that old, but back in the 90s with the army. And then special shout out to my boy Giannis. Giannis is the man. Giannis is basically like my Swiss little brother. At this point, he's also 18, so mature for his age. He invited me into his home, and I stayed with him, his brother, his mother. He showed us around Solothurn, Switzerland. What a guy, Giannis. You are the man. So yeah, those are the best memories. The best moments are with the people you meet on the road. The best story I have 2. One I'll keep really short, and this is just through those daily vlogs. If you're watching the daily vlogs, I have to compress everything into a 3-minute clip. I don't think people realize how chaotic a day would get. So just a good example, and this wouldn't even rank on like the top 50 to 60 craziest things that I encountered. I missed my bus to the Taj Mahal. It was an overnight bus that I was supposed to catch at 3, so I showed up at the bus station at 2, communicated in whatever Hindi I had picked up, which was maybe 2 words. My phone wasn't working. Someone told me to go to a bus stop, so I went to the bus stop, and I'm like drinking chai with a local vendor. I waited 2 hours. Turns out I missed the bus entirely. So, like any normal person, I grab a kid who looks similar to my age who knows English. He brings me, crosses me on the highway, orders an Uber for me. I pay him like Indian rupee, hand to hand. The guy drives me. I have a tank top on, and I know India gets hot, but it was freezing. It was 3:30 or 4:30 a.m. Brings me to another local bus. I get to the Taj Mahal that morning, and that was just like, that's like an average experience, average daily experience. And I just wanted to paint that picture that is like the most mild story. But one of my personal favorites that I don't talk about a lot is while I was camping through the Alps, I met an absolutely wonderful pair of grandparent figures, essentially Italian grandparents from Treviso, which is just north of Venice. And I was on the Slovenian border. Keep in mind, I had just hitched a ride from a Slovenian man who was drinking a fat tall boy while driving me. Shout out that guy. And so the grandparents bring me like all the way to Treviso, and I'm shooting north to the Dolomites. As I'm shooting north, they drop me at a gas station at sunset, feed me some espresso. Why I drank it right before bed, I don't know, but I had to sprint behind the gas station, cross the highway, jump over a guardrail, run through thorn bushes just to get my tent down in time. My phone died, so I wrote a message on a little piece of cardboard, basically to the police, in the last phone battery I had, translating to Italian, basically saying, let me explain myself. If you catch me in this tent, please don't arrest me. My phone's dead. If I can charge it, I'll explain. I didn't get caught, but I woke up with a dead phone that didn't turn on. I went to buy a charger at that gas station. Didn't work. So I asked the guy, do you have any magnetic chargers? Nope. Where's the closest town? 2 exits down? Okay. That's not too bad. It's like 8 miles, but 2 exits on the highway? That's not too bad. So I'm hitchhiking. I've got my thumb up, and the police pull up. They say, what are you doing? You're not allowed to hitchhike. And I'm like, that's news to me. So they bring me behind the gas station. They open a gate and they say, you need to walk through here. 8 miles. Turns out it was like 10 or 11 because it's not a straight shot and I'm walking through Italian villages. I had to walk around a sinkhole, over and under gates with 80 pounds of backpacks on my back, stopping at cafes periodically to re-up with espresso. And eventually I meet a wonderful Italian lady. Actually, I think she's originally Czech, living in Italy. That doesn't really matter. Who says, I'm going to buy all your coffee and pastries here, and then I'm going to buy you a ticket into Belluno. No, not Belluno. I'm already Cortina, which is up in the Dolomites. So she did that, put me on an hour-and-a-half train. Bless her heart. Wonderful lady. And again, I'm just talking about how wonderful it is to travel and why you should and all the reasons that you should. But yeah, walking around sinkholes, got chased by a dog. And you guys might have not even known that because, again, average experience when you're solo traveling. And anyways, moral of the story, I found a magnetic charger in that town. What was supposed to be 2 exits turned into 8 miles. That's wonderful. Top 3 tips. I'll keep these short. Pack lighter. You don't need as much as you're probably originally packing. Bring a decoy wallet. This was one of the smartest things I did. I didn't think I'd actually need it. Turns out I did. When I was in Thailand, you can find them on Temu, Amazon. They're really high quality in Bangkok, though. I'm sure other cities have high quality fake designer. I bought 3 fake Givenchy wallets. One for my mom, bless her heart. We're from like a small little farm town in Massachusetts, and she's the least materialistic lady. She's the GOAT. She's the least materialistic woman I've ever met. And I could buy her fake Louis V and she would be happier than anyone in the world. So I brought her back a fake Givenchy wallet, and I bought one for myself, and then I bought another because they were like 30 cents. And I ended up taking one on the trip, and I put expired credit cards. Looking back, I probably should have shaved my name off it, but I put expired credit cards and a 10 in there so that if I ever were to get robbed, I had something to give them and I didn't have to give them everything. Turns out I did, and that's a story for another time. But if you're traveling to a dangerous area, decoy wallet, good idea. I brought a decoy phone too. Didn't have to use that one. And then budgeting. Use Kiwi and Flight Scanner. Book in advance for your flights. Use Hostel World. There's usually discounts and stuff. I didn't, but I would recommend volunteering at hostels. I met some amazing people who were volunteering. They were like on top of the world. I've never done it, but they're some of the happiest people I've ever met. So I haven't even done it, and I can honestly probably recommend it. And then never, ever, ever, this should be a warning because that's the next one, but I'm just going to say it now. Never fly AirAsia. They put me on the wrong flight. Not going to get into the story. They're the worst airline ever. Don't fly AirAsia. Okay. Top 3 warnings about traveling. If you're traveling in Africa, delays are inevitable. I call it Africa. Everyone that's been to Africa really calls it Africa time. If a bus says it's going to be there in an hour, it won't be there for 3. If a bus says it's going to take 3 hours, it'll take 6 or more. That's just the reality. I love Africa so much. Some of the kindest people in the entire world. What an experience, but logistically not reliable. That's a fair warning. You will get sick. I have an iron stomach. I got sick in Ecuador. I didn't even get sick in India, but you will get sick. If you are traveling for months at a time, pack medicine, pack antidiarrheals, pack ibuprofen, pack anti-nausea, whatever it may be, pack it. If you're away for months at a time, you will get sick. And then the last thing is that you need to be extremely careful when traveling like I do, because you will become obsessed and you will want to make it your life. I'm telling you right now, that is the most dangerous thing about traveling and having the time of your life, that you become obsessed. My dad was right. This one was fun. And I'm going to butcher this to all my Dutchies watching. I'm so sorry, but am I still Levenskuiter? See, this is how long I would have murdered that when I was in Amsterdam, but Levenskuiter? It might be that. But if you haven't seen it, I did a vlog, and it was one of my videos that did decently well, a vlog in Amsterdam, and the kid in the video that actually asked this question and came up to me in the video called me Levenskuiter. I'm just going to say Levenskuiter.
Levenskuiter.
Sorry, I don't even speak Dutch.
Oh, yeah. It's like life enjoyer.
Yes, bro.
Yeah,
Trying to be. I'm traveling, so I might as well enjoy the cities while I'm here. Thanks, bro. You too. Have a great day. And that essentially means life enjoyer. And to answer your question, of course I still am. I'm as Levenscooter as I've ever been in my life. Who are my inspirations for traveling? So I have a few. Big ones. Harry Jaggard, Luke Dumont, those guys. I watched a ton of their videos for the past few years. Harry is awesome. Harry is English. Luke is Australian. They're huge travel creators. They make a lot of content all over the world. I loved Harry's, like, early on, he did a series. He started really in Pakistan. Funny enough, he just went back. He's an awesome creator. He inspires me, as does Luke, to have fun and be authentically yourself. These are guys who are just like cool guys. They have millions of followers and they are still just cool guys. They don't sell out. They're sick. And then Dale Phillip, who inspired me a ton to go to India. I loved watching his India videos. He does like hour-long. He's basically like the Indian Kick streamer. He's not actually on Kick, but he would make like hours of videos just walking around everywhere. But for me, the Indian videos were always my favorite. And then shout out this guy, Garrett Kunz. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, on Instagram. I loved his series in Europe. He backpacked Europe for like, I want to say like 2 or 3 months. And as someone who's also backpacked and done some crazy stuff throughout Europe and Southeast Asia, he inspired me to just pick up the camera, because just like he's similar age to me, I think he's maybe a year older than me. He's on a pretty awesome journey, like not backpacking, road tripping across the US rather right now. And I love tuning in because he's super entertaining, but he also inspired me that people just like me can pick up the camera and have success. And then honestly, shout out to all of you guys watching, everyone who has supported me. You guys are my inspiration. Those guys are the people that inspired me to start. You guys are the people that inspire me to keep going. All of the positive feedback, people that will DM me and say, you inspired me to take this trip or this gap year. I don't even have 3,000 followers on Instagram yet. And it warms my heart to see messages like that, to see that, you know, the life that I'm trying to build for myself is having some level of inspiration on anyone out there. And I love that. So you guys are my biggest inspiration. How do I overcome fears and worries on the road? I say it a lot, but truly I believe that doing hard things is the best thing that you can do for yourself. I believe that going towards any fear, going towards anything hard in life is the best thing that you can possibly do. It is what conditions your mind, is what conditions your body to be okay with stress, that your fight or flight reaction doesn't always activate in a moment of, oh my gosh. You collect yourself, and through trial and error and picking yourself back up, you become more resilient, more adaptable. I truly believe that doing hard things and continuing to do them and being brave through any situation. I went through a lot of hard moments on the road, admittedly. Things sucked. But you know what? You don't make excuses for yourself. You just pick yourself back up, smile on your face, be the best version of yourself that you can, learn from your mistakes, take accountability, have humility, and try not to do it again. We're all learning. No one's got it figured out yet. If they did, I'd hope they would have shared the secret sauce, because I can tell you I don't got it figured out. And I'm just a 23-year-old guy trying. So that's kind of how I overcome stuff, to be honest. Like, a lot of people had asked me when I was camping in the Alps and just camping completely alone deep into the European forest, how do you do this? That stuff never scared me. I will also say, I think you have to be like a little mentally tapped to do things like that. Like, I'm probably like a little bit psycho to even be able to do things like that. Even looking back, I'm like, wow, my 10-year-old self who used to sleep with a nightlight and be like, Mom, every night before I fell asleep would be like, you're lying. There's no way that A, you're camping in the wild, B, you're camping in the wild alone, and C, you're camping in the wild alone across in Europe. Like, no way. So, but I think that's a testament to just doing hard things. And before you know it, hard things they're not as hard anymore when you do them so often, when you make it a part of your life. I think another big thing, last thing I want to touch on here, is I stopped fearing really anything on the road. I have a really good friend who said something, and he's like, what if something were to happen to you on the road? And I truly believe if something were to happen to me ever, I'd be okay. I would be okay in the fact that this is the decisions that I've made. I need to face the any possible repercussions for my actions, and I'm doing what I love. I'm doing what I'm truly so passionate about in this life. I'm 23. When I was 18, I thought I wanted to be a sports journalist, and I was hoping I could make it to the NFL. I wanted to walk on the Michigan State football team after blowing my ACL into pieces after high school, and I worked hard to get all the way up to the point and trained to try to do it again, and I blew out my other knee. And not that I probably would have made it anyways, but just the point of you don't have life figured out. Life throws wrenches in your tire, and you have to just pick yourself up and keep going. And I remember my parents, when I took my first trip to Eastern Europe, being so worried for me, being so concerned that something could happen to me. And I told them, like, whatever happens is going to happen. I like to think I have a good head on my shoulders. And on my last trip, I remember my mom, I love my mom to death, but she was crying and she was like, I'm scared. I'm scared of some of the places you're going. And my dad, he just said, listen, Aiden has done this. He's proven that he can do this. He's been on numerous trips. We have no reason not to trust him. And I think at that point, when my parents trusted me, how could I not trust myself? That was the full circle moment. Does India deserve all the hate it gets? I'm going to make a completely separate video on this. We're at 27 minutes. I want to keep this at like 35. Absolutely not. India is one of the most, screw it, take that out. Let's edit it. India is the most underrated country in the entire world. Culturally, it has everything. It is the cheapest country I've ever been to. The food is amazing. The people are so hospitable. I don't have a bone to pick with anyone who hates India. I could see why it's overwhelming and chaotic. But the narrative that it is this absolutely disgusting, stinky place full of scammers, you are going in with a narrative that you are unwilling to shake. Let me tell you, I fell victim to the fact that I went to India and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. Keep in mind the timing. Remember what I was talking about earlier. I was going through some shit when I got to India, and I had the time of my life because I gave it a chance. I gave it a true chance. Delhi, people are like, oh, it's so chaotic. Yes, it's chaotic. You know that going in. But chaos doesn't equate to it necessarily being bad. It was amazingly chaotic. We went on street food tours. I stayed at some great hostels, met some cool people. India never sleeps, and there's a beauty in that. It's not for everyone, but I loved it, and I really think it was a life-changing trip. Anyone who's even open to travel, and it's not a first trip, I'll say that. Don't go from camping in your backyard to India. But eventually, I think working your way up to a trip like India is amazing. I will be back in no time. India is one of my favorite countries in the entire world. Overrated advice for travelers. To be honest, I'm sorry to any parents or anyone watching this, but I'm truly going to say the most overrated advice is to be safe, to do things like stay in your room, to not wander off the beaten path. Those are the best memories you are going to make, and whether you make mistakes and stumble into shit, it's okay. It is going to teach you lessons. Just don't stumble into shit so deep you can't get yourself out. Like, don't be like my friends in college and piss in a random alleyway right next to a bunch of Mexican cops and then go to jail for it. And don't abide by the laws and the rules of the society that you're in and the place that you're in. Be smart. When something feels wrong, it's probably wrong. Get yourself out of that situation. Be smart, but also, like, you don't have to be a rule follower all the time. You don't have to be the kid who stays in a high-class hotel and only goes on guided tours. Get lost. Getting lost teaches you a lot more about yourself than you'd ever believe, and you make some of the best memories along the way. So yes, be safe, but when your parents say be safe and stay in the hotel and just go on the guided tours and come right back and be our same good little baby boy, branch out of the nest. It's time to get your wings. Your wings have spread fly out of the nest. Did I learn any language skills? No, I would be lying. I think my Spanish did a little better. I only thought this because Spanish and Italian are quite similar. Their Romance language is quite similar to one another. And I was able to communicate to an Italian man just speaking Spanish. I think he knew a little bit of Spanish. My Spanish is muy más o menos. But I got by. So I'd say maybe my Spanish got a little better. I learned like 5 words in Italian. And I know like 3 words in Telugu, which is an Indian language. At the wedding that I went to, I was nicknamed, I kind of coined it myself, or I don't even remember if my buddy from college coined it. I don't remember at this point, but I went by Manganam Sinu, who's like, the way I was described it, that's like the Don. Maybe, like, I don't know if this is like a Tony Soprano, kind of like the Indian Tony Soprano, the Don, the boss, something along those lines. So every time I would meet someone at the wedding, and keep in mind we're in Hyderabad, I would shake their hand and go, hello, my name's Manganam Sinu. Yeah, and that was completely sober, by the way. So that's the extent of my language skills. Wild hostel stories. Any wild hostel stories? I have a few funny ones. Shout out, not really wild, but the best hostel that I've ever stayed in. I've been to 50 countries, stayed in numerous hostels. Leyte Uluwatu. I had a friend that just stayed there who's in Bali, who I recommended, like, you need to stay there. It's where I met some good friends of mine now from Perth, the ones I was talking about earlier. We had a ball. Bali is unbelievable, but this hostel is like unreal, like the best party hostel I've ever been to. It's not a wild story. It's just a shout out. I've given enough of those, but I met a guy. This was pretty funny. So I was about to miss my flight to, my flight to Medellin from Cartagena, Colombia. And I had to check a bag. Essentially, I got to where I had to get on the flight. And the lady was like, you need to go check that bag. That's not coming on. And I'm like, we're boarding. She's like, I don't care. Go check it. So I'm like, I'm missing this flight. My buddies are like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, we're getting on this flight. We'll try to hold it. So I have to go. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm cortisol spiked. And I go to the front and I'm like, can I please cut you to this pair of guys? And they let me cut. And one of the guys ended up translating in Spanish for me. Clearly my Spanish isn't good enough that in a heated situation where my brain's going a million miles a minute that I can say what I need to say. I'm like, I need to check this bag. I need to get it on. My flight's going to Medellin. Like, I need to go. These guys helped me out. I was like, you guys are the boys. You guys are the boys. They're like, no problem, bro. Like, have a great trip. And then I'm like sipping coffee at the hostel and the dude pulls up and I have a flick with him. Shout out my boy. So many shout outs in this video, but seriously, they're all warranted. Like, the amount of people you meet in 4 months on the road, like, they're all so awesome in their own way. I met so many of them. That was a funny story. And then the last one was, if you know me, you know I have like probably the worst seasonal allergies of anyone you've ever met. So I sniffle a lot. I just do. I'm sorry. You probably hear it in the videos and you're probably like, ew, that's gross. Get over it. I have allergies. If I forget to take an allergy pill, I might be sniffling if it's between the months of March to about May in the Northern Hemisphere, that is. Anyways, we're in Europe and we are in Munich and I'm sniffling in my bed after a late night out. But keep in mind, there's hostel etiquette and I hate there's 2 types of people that can disrupt you in a hostel and they're both equally bad. The people that come in drunk late night and are way too loud, and then the people who like you're like tiptoeing around and they still have the audacity to be like, shut up. Like, buddy, listen, I just tiptoed my way to bed at 4 a.m. Go stay in a hotel if you're going to have that kind of mentality. Both those people suck. So I ran into the second one. I have good health. Look at me. I'm literally sniffling like that though. It was like, I'm quiet. I'm like, I have good hostel etiquette. I tipped into my bed and this Hungarian guy pulls his thing back and has the audacity to say to me, stop all that sniffling. He's like imitating me. He's like barely speaking English. He's Hungarian. And he's like mocking me. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem? Sorry for my French. I'm like, what the is your problem? Like, excuse you. And he's like, still doing it. And I'm like, do we have a problem? Like, are we about to have a problem at 4 a.m. in this room? Keep in mind, this guy's like 35, 40. And I think I'm a pretty easygoing guy for the most part, but stuff like that really ticks me off. That guy, no shout out to that guy. Two more. Thoughts on writing a book about my travels. Hopefully eventually. But I like to say that I don't have a book to write yet because I'm still living the story. How would I write a book when the story is still being lived? So not anytime soon. I actually love to write. I absolutely love to write, but writing a book takes a lot of time. That is hundreds of pages. And unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time right now. That's an excuse. If I wanted to, I would. I don't want to yet. I want to, if I were to ever do something, even like a shorter book, like a short story, who knows, like a children's book maybe. That might be cool. But I do want to write a book eventually, but not for a long time. And then the last and final question, what is going to happen to this channel? And you guys are seeing it unfold live. This is now our second YouTube video, and if you're coming from Instagram, you know that this channel isn't going anywhere. I am moving to Atlanta in 2.5 weeks to start my corporate job, but I'm trying to feel out what kind of content do I like to do. At the end of the day, I have a goal, and the goal is to eventually be able to travel the world again. When? I don't know, but I just bought that $200 unlimited Frontier Pass, so I'm going to be weekend maxing and taking as many weekend trips as I can. But I've learned that I truly like making content for you guys, and not even just for you guys, for me, for my family, and for my future kids to look at and be like, maybe I'm fat and out of shape in 25 years, but at least one time I was, traveling the world and doing cool things. So yeah, to answer that in short is I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to try to blend my life into every part of the content that I make. I love to lift. I love to work out. I run a pressure washing company when I'm home in Massachusetts, but that's not going to last much longer because I'm going to be a consultant in Atlanta. I love to stay active. I love to travel. I love to just do cool things, I guess. I don't know. I like to live, and I'm going to bring you guys along for the ride. So that's where this channel is headed. I hope to be on the road as soon as possible again to take another trip, but in due time. So that's it. That's our first Q&A. I hope to be able to do more of these in the future, but at least for now, that's it. Signing off, purposefully unemployed. I'll see you guys in the next video.